What if the life you built wasn't really yours at all? What if every decision, every sacrifice, every sleepless night was never about your dreams, but someone else's control? She gave up everything, her future, her freedom, even the person she loved. All in the name of duty. All because she thought love meant surrender. But one night, with a single message and a video she was never meant to see, the illusion shattered, and nothing would ever be the same. How far would you go to reclaim a life that was stolen from you, piece by piece? Don't look away. Her fight is just beginning. Ivy Quinn had everything, on paper. At 29, she was a top-tier real estate agent in Boston, closing deals faster than most of her peers could schedule a showing. Her name was etched into the city's luxury market, her reputation built on poise, precision, and relentless hustle. But behind the tailored blazers and confident smiles, Ivy felt trapped. Her life wasn't her own. Not really. Each day was a delicate balancing act, selling million-dollar homes by day, answering her mother's endless demands by night. There was always a new prescription to fill, a doctor's appointment to arrange, insurance paperwork to sort. And the guilt, God, the guilt was never ending. Her mother, once vibrant and strong, now suffered from severe rheumatoid arthritis. The pain was real. Ivy had no doubt about that. But beneath the illness was something far more suffocating, manipulation disguised as need. If you don't help me, who will, Ivy? I'm your mother. That sentence lived rent-free in her head, a weapon wielded with surgical precision. Years ago, Ivy had dreamed of becoming a nurse, compassionate, capable, a healer. She was halfway through nursing school when her mother's health took a turn. It wasn't even a question. Ivy dropped out, moved back home, and took over everything. Because that's what daughters do. Right? 5 years and over $120,000 later, Ivy had paid for it all: hospital bills, medications, insurance premiums. Her savings gone. Her social life non-existent. Every relationship, every opportunity, sacrificed to hold up someone who never once thanked her. And still, she stayed. Until the video. It was a Thursday night. Ivy sat in a plush hotel room, miles away, at a real estate conference in Chicago. She was half asleep, her laptop glowing dimly with the remnants of a presentation when her phone buzzed. "Jenna, you need to see this. Now." Curious, Ivy clicked the link. It was a live stream, recorded hours earlier, from her aunt's house. A family dinner. The camera shook slightly, focused on the table, and then her mother's voice rang out, sharp, bitter. "Ivy. That girl's a damn failure." Laughter. Couldn't even make it through nursing school. Now she's just out there, selling houses like a common drifter, pretending it's a real career. She thinks she's so important, always busy with work. Please. She doesn't even have a husband, no kids, no future. Just aimless, floating around with no direction. Every word was a blade. And Ivy could only watch, silent, frozen, as the woman she'd given everything for ripped her apart in front of people who said nothing. Her ears rang. Her vision blurred. This wasn't just disrespect. It was betrayal. And it broke something inside her that could never be fixed. She left the hotel that night, adrenaline propelling her straight to the airport. No sleep. No hesitation. She had one goal. End it. Back in Boston, Ivy moved fast. She cancelled the automatic payments linked to her mother's accounts. She terminated the health insurance sponsorship she had paid into for years. And she drafted an email, not with anger, but cold, brutal clarity. A detailed list of every expense. Every dollar spent. Every sacrifice made. The subject line, "This ends now." Family responses flooded in, a tidal wave of outrage. How could you do this to your own mother? She needs you. You're all she has. You're selfish. Heartless. But Ivy didn't flinch. Only Jenna replied with empathy. I'm proud of you. Finally. Her aunt, Bridget, called to say the same. Two voices of reason in a sea of blame. Ivy felt the weight begin to lift. A week later, she stood outside the admissions office of Boston Medical Institute, clutching an application in her hand. Her pulse was steady, her eyes clear. Nursing school. Her dream, once buried, was now resurrected. And this time, no one would take it from her. Boston's early spring air carried a chill, but Ivy Quinn didn't feel it. For the first time in years, she was moving forward, not for anyone else, but for herself. Enrollment at Boston Medical Institute was official. Her schedule was packed, her days now split between lecture halls and clinical rotations. It was exhausting, chaotic, and exhilarating. She hadn't felt this alive in years. Her real estate career, once all-consuming, now served her, not the other way around. She scaled back, took only select clients, and hired Kylie, a bright-eyed college student, as her assistant. Kylie handled listings, client calls, and scheduling, leaving Ivy time to focus on her classes. And with every passing week, the grip her mother once had on her life weakened. No more guilt-laced calls. No more last-minute emergencies. No more manipulation. Ivy was finally breathing on her own. Until he walked back into her world. It was her first clinical rotation at St. Vincent's Hospital. Ivy stood in the hallway, clipboard in hand, nerves humming beneath her calm exterior. Then a voice, low, steady, unmistakable, echoed behind her. Nursing students, follow me. We're heading to the OR for observation. She turned. Knox Wilder. Her breath caught. Time collapsed. For a moment, she wasn't a composed nursing student. She was just Ivy, the woman who had once loved this man so deeply she could barely imagine a future without him. Knox stood tall, his presence as commanding as ever. Dark hair, sharp jawline, eyes that had once looked at her like she was his whole world. And now, they barely flickered. Their eyes met. Both froze. Shock. Recognition. Something else, buried, raw, unresolved. He recovered first, nodding politely. Ms. Quinn. Her voice didn't betray her when she replied, Dr. Wilder. No warmth. No bitterness. Just distance. The other students whispered, oblivious to the history pulsing between them. Ivy kept her face blank, but inside, emotions surged, nostalgia, pain, regret. 3 years ago, he'd asked her to marry him. And she said no. Not because she didn't love him. God, she had loved him more than anything. But because her mother needed her, or so she thought. Knox had begged her to choose them, to choose herself. But Ivy had walked away. Now here they were. Same city. Same hospital. Different people. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed again and again. In corridors. At rounds. During shifts. Each time, the air crackled with unspoken memories. But Ivy wasn't the same woman he had once known. She was focused, self-assured. She spoke up during clinicals, asked sharp questions, took initiative. She didn't hesitate. Didn't shrink. Knox noticed. One afternoon, after a particularly grueling shift, he approached her in the staff lounge, his voice low. You've changed. Ivy met his gaze, calm and unwavering. I had to. And for the first time, she saw something in his eyes she hadn't seen in years, not doubt. Not pity. Respect. When Ivy cut the financial lifeline, she expected backlash. But not this. Her mother spiraled, sending venom through the veins of the family like poison. Ivy's phone lit up daily with calls from aunts, cousins, distant relatives, each echoing the same accusations. How could you abandon her? She's sick. Alone. You're all she has. Her mother's version of the truth was a masterpiece of manipulation, crafted with tears, embellished with lies. Ivy was painted as the cold, ungrateful daughter who had traded her mother's love for success and status. But Ivy didn't bend. She had come too far to be dragged back into the shadows. Then came the unexpected blow. Knox. He called one evening, his voice unreadable. Ivy. We need to talk. In person. Her stomach dropped. At the cafe where they met, the air was thick with tension. Knox didn't waste time. Your mother came to see me. Ivy's breath caught, but she said nothing. She said, "You never really loved me. That you used me as an excuse to pretend you had a life outside of her." Silence. Knox watched her closely, looking for cracks. She said you were just waiting to be free from me, not her. For a moment, Ivy didn't know whether to scream or laugh. The sheer audacity was staggering. But then she saw it, not suspicion, not hurt, in his eyes. Trust. I don't believe her, Ivy. But I need to hear it from you. She looked at him, steady. I loved you, Knox. I still do. But I loved her fear more. I let it own me, and I let it ruin us. Tears pricked her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. That ends today. That night, Ivy drove to her mother's house. No warning. No agenda. Her mother answered the door, frail and dramatic as ever. You've finally come to your senses, she said smugly. Ivy stepped inside, the walls of the home closing in like a cage she once couldn't escape. I know what you told Knox, she said coldly. Her mother shrugged. The truth hurts, doesn't it? No, Ivy said. Lies do. Silence stretched between them like a wire pulled tight. I'm not here to argue, Ivy continued. I'm here to say something I should have said years ago. Her voice didn't tremble. I'm done. You don't control me anymore. I'm not your puppet. I'm not your nurse. I'm not your ATM. Her mother's face twisted, confusion flickering into panic. You're just angry. You'll come back. You always do. Ivy smiled, soft, sad, free. Not this time. She turned, walked out the door, and didn't look back. For the first time in her life, Ivy Quinn chose her peace over her past. And it felt like breathing. The ceremony was held in a glass-walled ballroom overlooking the Boston skyline. Ivy stood under the soft glow of chandeliers, applause echoing around her as she stepped onto the stage to accept her award. Resilience in real estate. Not just a title. A testament. The MC's voice faded as Ivy took the microphone, heart pounding, not from nerves, but from the gravity of the moment. She looked out at the crowd, at her colleagues, at the faces of those who once questioned her, judged her, pitied her. This award isn't about success. It's about survival. About finding your way back to yourself when you've been lost in someone else's shadow. She didn't need to name names. The truth was already there, woven into every choice she'd made. The room erupted in applause, but Ivy heard only her own heartbeat, steady, strong. She was no longer just a real estate agent, no longer a woman trapped by obligation. She was a survivor, a fighter, a healer. And now, she was ready to heal others. Days later, Ivy slipped into her new nursing uniform, crisp, clean, the fabric soft against her skin. She tied her hair back, pinned her name badge over her heart, and stood in front of the hospital mirror. Her reflection stared back, not with uncertainty, but with peace. She was finally where she belonged. Word of her triumph rippled through the family. The same relatives, who had once blamed her, now sent messages of quiet apology. Ivy didn't need their validation. She'd already won. And then there was Knox. She found him in the hospital courtyard, late afternoon sun filtering through the trees. He looked up from his notes, eyes warming when they met hers. Ivy took a breath, stepped forward. "Knox, do you think we could try again? Start over?" A pause. Then that smile, the one that once undid her, now grounding her. "I never stopped hoping we would, Ivy. No promises, no guarantees. Just a beginning." And that was enough. Weeks later, Ivy stood at a patient's bedside, gloved hands steady as she prepared and for. Her touch was gentle, practiced. The patient smiled nervously. "First time?" they asked. Ivy grinned beneath her mask. "For you, maybe. Not for me." She slid the needle in with precision, confidence in every motion. This was her life. Not stolen, not controlled. Earned. Fought for. Owned. And Ivy Quinn was finally free.